Tell me, though, what's his technique? That last strike, it seems invincible.
Hello and welcome to Sons of the Dragon, the Immortal Iron Fist podcast. My name is Connor McKenna.
And I'm Omar Guerrero.
And apologies for the Heroes for Hire 2 delay. It's just there's some issues that I want everyone there for, and they're usually issues where I don't quite know what's going on. So that's one of them, and it's just been hard getting everyone because of like birthdays and sickness and all sorts of stuff. So I figured I'll do Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, because I have the Iron Fist Deadly Hands of Kung Fu trade, which we'll talk about. And this is like, I think, a great sort of, you know, if we want to do backup episodes or episodes in between, you know, drawing from this is perfect. And I wanted someone who knew a little bit about Deadly Hands of Kung Fu and Shang-Chi, which is why I didn't do it with, I wanted to do it with like Omar or someone else. And I believe Omar is also like a Deadly Hands Kung Fu fan, so...
A little bit, actually. My cousin used to borrow a lot of comics back in the 80s, and one of his friends used to collect Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, so I'd read a couple of issues here and there.
Yeah.
And that's where I discovered Shang-Chi. And Doug Minch and Paul Gulacy. Yeah. And I really love the art. So when I was trying to learn art, I would borrow one of the Master of Kung Fu comics, and I would draw Shang-Chi without his shirt on to practice on anatomy. I didn't like, my cousin told me to look at anatomy from encyclopedias and stuff, but I found that too boring, so I drew Shang-Chi.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So that's my background on Master of Kung Fu.
Yeah, so this story we're doing features first Iron Fist, then Sons of the Tiger, who we've talked about before on the show, with old Bob Diamond, the most famous member for this show anyway, and Shang-Chi himself, who I believe started the whole Deadly Hands of Kung Fu thing, who recently had a movie, obviously, and I'll say the guy playing Shang-Chi should probably look into basic comic book knowledge for his character before he takes a dump on a guy dressing as Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
He called Iron Fist his enemy.
Did he really?
Which they are not. No. Yeah.
When did he do that?
It's like he said in an interview where there's this guy who came to the premiere, where something like wearing the costume of my enemy, Iron Fist. And, fans are like saying like they're not enemies. They're actually buddies.
Yeah, and
they're good friends.
I'm one of the people who said that to him, and a bunch of other people have. And it's really unfair that he's called this guy an idiot, when Marvel asked him to go. And, I don't know if he's read any of the responses or people, like, enlightening him, Like, we're trying to be polite. I haven't talked about him politely to other people, but when I reached out to him, I was polite,
Yeah.
And if he's not listening, then I don't know. But yeah, they're definitely not enemies. They're very old team up. In fact, they're so old. This was published in between Marvel Premiere 15 and 16. So
I actually wonder about that one. It seems like based on the first page of the Iron Fist story, it feels like it happened right after his vengeance quest ended with Harold Meacham.
Yeah.
But it's unusual because immediately after he went down the building, when he failed to enact his vengeance, Colleen Wing picked him up. But so, I'm not exactly sure where to place this. So
I assumed it was just at some quiet spot in the original Marvel Premiere run with.
Yes.
You could really. It doesn't really it's not. It's pretty standalone.
Yeah.
It doesn't clash with anything or anything, which is nice. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
But this trade, so I'm reading. I have this trade. It's the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Complete Collection Iron Fist. So this collects, I believe, all the Iron Fist content in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu magazine, and which is interesting because it was published in 2019.
Yes.
Which, what did season 2 of the Netflix show come out 2018 or 19? I'll look it up.
Interesting.
Because I know first season was
2017. Yeah, it was 2018, I believe.
Yeah, so maybe
because that's when I started my blog.
Right. Maybe this was planned before the show was cancelled.
Yeah.
Because when the show was coming out, a lot of Iron Fist stuff was getting published, which was nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the most recent Iron Fist thing would have been. They're still putting out. I believe they're still going to finish the Power Man and Iron Fist Epic Collection run.
Yeah, they should. Although Marvel has had a history of not finishing up on a few TPBs, complete collections, but they probably will eventually.
Yeah.
They've reprinted the first volume, I think twice already.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. So they're probably trying to rep interest for the trades again.
I feel like
before they publish the last one.
If they've gone in 3 volumes in for the Epic Collection, I feel like they'll finish it, because I'm pretty sure it would be 1 or 2 left out of
It's just the third volume actually came out, I think, 2 years after the last one. It was delayed by about a year, I think.
Yeah, so that Doombringer, I think, was the recent one. That was 2019, and that collects 90 to 107. Yeah. So they'd only need 1 more volume to finish it.
I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have the whole run.
And
this was great, because I was like, I really want this Iron Fist Deadly Hands of Kung Fu stuff. I've never read it. And I was looking at the omnibus, the second omnibus, which had Iron Fist on the cover, I think. And because that had all the Iron Fist stuff in it, but that also had everything else. And it's obviously a lot more expensive. And it's also the second volume.
Both volumes have Iron Fist in them.
Oh, really?
It just has more in the second volume.
Okay, yeah. But this trade,
like this story, the one we're discussing, it's in the first volume.
Okay, and that's interesting. Then this definitely saves a lot of money. This trade, if you just want the Iron Fist stuff,
definitely.
Really awesome they put this out. I think right now, I'm pretty sure every single solo Iron Fist thing you can get in trades or even team up thing, because he hasn't had that much stuff published. I can't think of anything that's missing. The only thing.
The Namor story, the return of Iron Fist, is not there. It's not in the trades.
It isn't. Aren't those Namor stories? Yeah, I guess the Iron. It's.
Oh well, it's in the Namor omnibus.
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts.
that would be a tricky one to put into an Iron Fist trade, because it's really just a subplot in a Namor story. Okay, so that's all that's missing, but everything else is there. I really want.
Yeah.
I don't know if the run was long enough for an omnibus, but a nice big trade of Ed Brisson's run would be good, because I don't want to have to try and get all the trades in 6-issue blocks. I don't think they did hardcovers for them either. They're all softcover, so Ed Brisson's run was really good. Heart of the Dragon, I heard it never gets published and burns in hell somewhere.
It already did.
Oh no, yeah. So Yeah, but this trade's a great little thing, and
yeah, very nice addition to the collection.
Yeah, so this first Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, this special. So as I said, it was published between Marvel Premiere 15 and 16. So you have. So I'm sorry if people hear me flicking pages because I'm opening my trade. I also have an online scan I'm looking at for reference, and so the trade collects about half of that issue because a lot of that issue is like coverage of real life tournaments and stuff, or a big introduction. Unfortunately, I didn't know this because I would have loved to talk about the tournaments and stuff that they were covering.
And movies.
Yeah, and sort of, dive into like the martial arts craze of the 70s, but for the next Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, I might do it. I might go back and read that stuff for this issue. But I did read the introduction by Tony Isabella, which was alright.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't huge on it. Mostly because he's like, 1973, the movie is Enter the Dragon. 3 martial arts masters battle against incredible odds for their very lives. Their foe is the murderous Han. And then 1974, 5 martial arts masters battle against the incredible odds to save the entire world from extinction. Their foe is the most insidious villain of all time. He makes Han look like a Girl Scout. It's like, why are you throwing shade at Enter the Dragon? Because you wouldn't have these comics without that movie. Your comics are banking on that movie. Like, And,
I loved Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, Enter the Dragon, like, this issue's good, but Enter the Dragon is better. Like, it's...
Yes.
So...
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you watched that?
Enter the Dragon?
Yeah.
I was actually... I would have been over 18. I can't remember the exact time I watched...
18.
So I didn't watch it when I was a kid or anything.
Okay, I watched it, I think I was 7.
Wow.
So, that made me love Kung Fu. I mean, Bruce Lee made me love Kung Fu.
Right. Yeah, so... I don't... Yeah, Bruce Lee got a lot of people into martial arts. In fact, I have one of his books, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, which is I'm sort of very slowly going through, and I'm desecrating it with a pencil because I'm highlighting parts that are useful. But I feel like that's what he would want you to do with the book. He'd want you to go in there and take what you want, take what you think is useful, whereas a lot of people treat it like a sacred tome, which is a bit odd. But yeah. So, what's the deal? So I don't know much about. Surprisingly, I don't really know much about like the whole role of like China with pulp and stuff. What's the deal with this Fu Manchu guy? Because from what I understand, he's Shang-Chi's father, but isn't he a character outside of?
Yeah, I think I don't know if they borrowed him or the rights to Fu Manchu was anybody's game in the 70s or something, maybe. Yeah. So they used him, but they can't use him now in the comics and in the movie. So that's why they changed the villain for the movie, and his Shang-Chi's father became the Mandarin.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it made sense for the MCU as well. It tied him up with the rest of the MCU. I mean, I haven't watched the movie. There are no theaters open here in the Philippines yet.
Yeah.
But I've heard a few things here and there. I hope to get to watch it someday.
Right.
But yeah, that's Fu Manchu is not usable at any point now. But he was a major figure in Shang-Chi's life in the 70s.
Yeah.
And the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, he also seemed to, just reading about him, created during a time where, like, the Chinese were considered alien and sort of hostile and stuff, so there's probably other reasons they wouldn't want to use him as well. But, yeah, so the Fu Manchu is the main villain in this story, which is a bit not unexpected, but it's unexpected how the story plays out, I guess. So, we have, let's talk about the cover for this book, I guess, which is pretty cool. It's as people can see on like our discussion thread and stuff, that's the cover. So it's, you know, special album edition, The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. Photos, features, and action strips. 84 steel smashing pages. Iron Fist, Sons of the Tiger, Shang-Chi. So we have Iron Fist, Sons of the Tiger, and Shang-Chi fighting goons on the front. And we have Iron Fist slicing a sword with his knife hand strike. And these are all their martial arts characters. And it really goes to show how different Iron Fist is to these others.
Yes, he's the only one with powers.
Yeah.
Or at least, you know, powers that...
in the traditional sense.
Yeah, in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
You know, not like
costume,
Sons of the Tiger have a little bit of mysticism in them.
Yeah.
But not much. It's not like you'll call them superheroes or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, Shang-Chi, obviously, he's just master of Kung Fu and agent of espionage. Because I think I might be misquoting him, but I think it was Carl who said a lot of Shang-Chi stuff read like James Bond. And it's totally like that. It's like the Shang-Chi portion was the least martial arts portion of it all, I think. Because he's like firing himself out of torpedoes. That was crazy. He's like going on like a submarine and stuff. But
that's right.
Yeah, it's a
not
cool
the same
cover.
as the usual stories. Maybe because it was written by someone other than Doug Mensch, who was his writer during this time.
Yeah. So, on this first page, we have like a drawing of Iron Fist in motion and then a drawing of Shang-Chi, and I don't know who this dude is. Is that? That's not like Count Dante dude, is it? Unless I'm just missing something.
Which one?
So...
Oh, yeah. This guy, let me see. He's in the omnibus. So I'm actually looking at two books right now. So I double dip because I'm a sucker for buying everything with Iron Fist in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I think his face appears again in inside the omnibus where the tournaments are or the movies are. Let me see. Hang on.
On the guy who did the cover art is Harold Schull.
Harold Schull.
Yeah.
Not really familiar with him.
He seems good.
Yeah, and these are the kind of covers that the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu is known for. The magazine.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy, I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading this one correctly, he's Kwai Chang Caine.
Right.
Shaolin Flashback. There's a feature about him. So,
okay.
I think he appeared in the Kung Fu TV series by starring David Carradine.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's him.
Yeah. So if you're following along with the actual issue, as I said, I'm going from the trade, so there'll be stuff that we won't be covering in this particular episode.
Yeah, we don't have the magazines, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. But there's a relative. I mean, I've read some Shang-Chi before, but like I felt like this opening page explained everyone pretty well. So you have Fu Manchu looming in the background, then you have the Sons of the Tiger, Iron Fist, and Shang-Chi in the foreground. It kind of explains them. So for nearly a century, the shadow of Dr. Fu Manchu has lain heavily on the soil of this planet. His schemes for world conquest are legend, his evil, boundless, and his victims without number. So maybe he's immortal or something. I don't know. But Danny Rand, who has learned the fighting secrets of ancient Kunlun and forsaken immortality to battle injustice as the costumed hero called Iron Fist. Good summary for no one who knows him.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they really talk about him forsaking his immortality.
Yes, they do. That's a big thing.
The early 70s, yeah.
Yeah,
which I guess it was brought back by Carrie Andrews.
Yeah.
In Living Weapon.
Because he's like, they should have gone into that more, and I kind of agree. I mean, I don't think he got over it quickly, but like he sort of, like, he started off being like that, but then he got very quickly swept up in this plot with Master Khan, and it just kind of resolved itself along the way. But and then we have Lin Sun, A. Brown, Bob Diamond, the students of Master Key, whose individual skills and strengths are tripled as they join together as Sons of the Tiger. These guys are fun. And
I haven't read much about them. I read a few stories from the omnibus. I actually read every page in the 2 omnibus volumes where Iron Fist appears.
Right.
And I read a little bit about these 3 whenever they cross paths with Iron Fist. So they're fun.
Yeah, they are. And then we have Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, whose burden is the heaviest of all, for he is the son of Fu Manchu. So, yeah, it tells you, what you need. And I like how it doesn't, because it bugs me when they, I like how they just say, fighting secrets of ancient Kunlun. I like that as a description of his kind of fighting style. I think it's cool.
Yes. Yeah. It has a bit of it's like he's got, they've been around for ages.
Yeah.
So it's great for them to mention that it's the secrets are ancient.
Yeah.
And makes him look even more formidable as a fighter.
Yeah, definitely. Always nice to see Danny fighting and be formidable about it. So it's a really, really nice opening page. I mean, I'm just going to say I love the artwork in this book. And harkening back to our very early episodes, it's black and white, which I'm a huge sucker for with Iron Fist. I think it really suits him in these, like, 70s stories. And, this whole page sort of summarizes, that he gave up immortality to sort of go get vengeance, but he didn't take that vengeance, and now he's, without a purpose.
Yeah.
And
it's like he gave up the vengeance quest by this time.
Yeah, so it's interesting because this was published before Marvel Premiere 16, but so obviously it hadn't been resolved in the main Iron Fist book, but they must have known where that was going.
Where it was headed, yeah.
So...
And this was written by...
Oh, yes.
Master of Computer Doug Mensch.
Yes, Doug Mensch, also of Moon Knight fame, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I think.
Moon Knight. True.
He's done some Batman, I think, as well. Maybe.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think he and Paul Gulacy, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Is it Gulacy or Gulacy? I think it's Gulacy. They did Legends of the Dark Knight Venom, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right.
I know it's a Gulacy art, but I can't remember if it's Doug Mensch.
Denny O'Neil did Venom.
Oh, Denny O'Neil.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, they didn't do Venom. It's the other one, the one before it, I think. I was reading it because my friend was collecting that one.
Right. Because Venom sucks.
I forgot.
I hated that book so much when I read it. I was like, this is garbage. It's such a cool idea with awful writing. Just saying that now. But yeah, so this really grimy alley Iron Fist here's a help, and this is chapter 1, Iron Fist. So
and we need to mention this is by art by Frank McLaughlin and the Krusty Bunkers.
Do you know?
So Frank McLaughlin, I know him as an inker.
Yep.
But his art here is superb. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the inkers, we don't know who the inkers are, but we have the members of the Krusty Bunkers. I looked them up and found them on Wikipedia. There's a bunch of them, and a lot of heavy hitters. So
yeah,
this was led by Neil Adams. and Dick Giordano. Among them, there's about, I don't know, I think there's about 30 to 40 of them here.
Wow.
So among the famous ones are Pat Broderick, who also drew Iron Fist in Marvel Premiere.
Yeah.
Howard Chaykin of American Flag.
Right.
Dennis Cowan, Dave Cockrum, Steve Englehart, who I didn't know drew before. Dan Green, Larry Hama, Klaus Janson, Alan Cooperberg, Bob McLeod, Al Milgrom.
Yeah.
Carl Potts, Joseph Rubinstein, Marshall Rogers, Jim Starlin, Trevor Von Eden, Alan Weiss, Bob Wycek, and Bernie Wrightson, to name a few.
Oh, Bernie Wrightson. Wow,
actually, a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they're all fantastic artists, but Bernie Wrightson his horror art is phenomenal.
The horror genius.
Yeah, if anyone's ever read his, like, the Len Wein Swamp Thing run, like, the writing's fine. In fact, the writing's pretty good in the first few issues, but, like, the artwork is just... That's what makes it such a classic, I think.
Gorgeous. I haven't read them, but I've browsed through them. But it's just beautiful art.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, yeah, so he finds this newly arrived Chinese delegate who was basically ambushed by assassins. They burst in, they abducted the rest, but he escapes, except he was mortally wounded, and then he died. Well, he dies talking to Iron Fist. And he basically tasks Iron Fist with finding the others. And since Iron Fist is lacking a purpose and not really doing anything, he's like, hey, why not? I should do this.
Yeah, he's looking for a purpose here.
Yeah. And then he gets ambushed, I'm assuming by the assassins that abducted him, or some of them. This first guy's called Seo Kai Chen, He Who Strikes the Lightning, which is an awesome name. Although he's like...
He kind of reminds me of... what's the name of the second villain that Iron Fist faced? I mean, or the first one that he faced in New York?
The guy who said Scythe?
Yes, Scythe.
This is a way cooler name than Scythe. Like, this...
Of course.
This Iron Fist chunk of the comic, I think, is better than, like, a lot of Marvel Premiere, because I think... And I love Marvel Premiere, but I think, like, Iron Fist just works more in this kind of martial arts setting, as opposed to trying to make it too much like a superhero thing.
Yes.
Because, like...
A very good blend of both.
Because you just have... Compare this guy to Scythe, right? Like, this guy is so much cooler, even though he doesn't have a goofy costume. He also doesn't call him Joker all the time, he doesn't have this ridiculous, over-the-top weapon. Like, it's...
True.
The Scythe was a good fight, though, but, yeah, I was just all into this book. Even from the first page, I was like, oh yeah, this is nectar, so, but he doesn't last long at all. Like, he gets taken out immediately. So he's set up as a threat, but then, without even using the Iron Fist, he just smashes the hammer.
That was a surprise to me. I was looking for, any signs of the Iron Fist being activated, but, it just wasn't there.
It kind of looks like it might be.
Mm-hmm.
But, because it looks like there's a borderline explosion there. But there's there's nothing about him charging up his fist or anything. So it could have been like a miscommunication, or it's just, I don't know, it's cool anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a cool looking shot.
And this whole section with Iron Fist is in that second person narration. Which I really love, You enter the alleyway, and it's really nicely written as well. Like, it's really great.
Yeah, that's what I love about Doug Mentz's writing and the Master of Kung Fu as well.
Yeah.
Very beautifully done.
And so he fights all the assassins. There's, they're decent. They're good fight scenes. I don't think they're as good as Marvel Premiere or Iron Fist fight scenes. That's where I think the other title has an advantage, is those fights were really good. These fights are good, but I just don't think they're on the same level, which is ironic, because this is the more martial arts one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like...
I think there's just a few action scenes for Iron Fist here.
Yeah.
But we have a cool spread later.
And they're good, don't get me wrong. Like, they're really good. It's just that other stuff is, like, the best. So...
Yes.
So he takes out another guy with a flying kick, which is pretty cool. Sort of that technique where they draw a character in motion just by drawing them multiple times. And I really like the other guy with a pitchfork. I mean, I guess like it's kind of a side, but it looks like a little pitchfork. Yeah, and he breaks his arm over his shoulder. That's awesome.
Yeah, very martial artsy.
Yeah. And so the battle has been swift and far less than deadly, for had you inflicted any more than minor injuries, you would have defeated your purpose as well as your opponents. So, you know, basically Danny was just trying to intimidate them, make a display of power to make them run to their base, and he's following the guy, running to his base, through Chinatown. And apparently it's really filthy. The darkness and filth of Manhattan's night streets in the sector known as Chinatown. And this is actually the lightning guy who's running. It mentions without a weapon, he's not prepared to strike the lightning. And that's
no more lightning.
This comes in later. In fact, so there's like a beggar here.
Yeah.
I thought this was pretty dumb, to be honest. He's like, pity for a blind man, and then he's like, out of my way, beggar. And then Iron Fist stops and offers his assistance. And it turns, spoiler, this blind man appears in all the stories, and it turns out he's Fu Manchu.
Yes.
I get why he appears in Shang-Chi's story, because he's messing with Shang-Chi. Why does he care about the other people? Like, I don't think he knows who they are, right? Like, they stumble across him. You know, Shang-Chi actively seeks him out. The others just stumble across the problem. So it's pretty odd that he appears in those two.
He's like, I think he's like Rosario Dawson for the Netflix Marvel series.
Oh my God.
Where there has to be one character who connects all the series together. So it's this blind guy for this Deadly Hands of Kung Fu special.
The thing is, like, she didn't need to be in every series. Like, the characters, you know, you don't need, one character doesn't have to know everyone. Like, you know, Iron Fist could have just known Luke Cage. You know?
Yeah. Could have happened that way.
Yeah.
But I guess they had a contract for her where she's supposed to appear in. But, you know, don't get us wrong, guys. Rosario Dawson is an excellent actress. Her acting really stands out. But
she was just really annoying in Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Like, no one liked her in Iron Fist because she was just there all the time. She was fighting ninjas with tiger claws. Like, really?
Yeah.
It was like, anyway. But, so, Danny storms into this building.
So the blind man is Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I love the way all this is drawn up. He comes across this big sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
Who's great.
It's Fat Cobra. Without the tattoos.
Yeah. And, so, what's this guy's name?
It's in the...
Oh, yeah.
Sugamo,
the mountain which steals breath. So he bear hugs the crap out of people.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, effective as anything, I guess. Yeah. If you're big, use it. Like,
slow, but he's strong.
Yeah. So, yeah, this guy idiotically runs into the base, being chased by a very non-conspicuous Iron Fist. And the sumo's like, well, you know what, I'm going to kill you now. And it looks like he snaps his back, which is... Ugh.
Yeah. It just really kills him with his spine.
Yeah. But, so Iron Fist swings in on a rope, just, you know, and he starts fighting everyone. And it's cool, like, they have names to some of the techniques, like, you know, Dragon Stamp Kick.
Yes. Yeah, they named it... You know, back in the 70s, they named his punches and kicks, and Ed Brisson did a good job of bringing that back.
And definitely Ed Brubaker as well.
and Ed Brubaker
Immortal Iron Fist.
Matt Fraction.
Yeah. So you got like an elephant kick, a rock smash blow. Yeah, which that was really cool than these things that I've come across. I haven't really, but they sound cooler than like Hammer Fist or Axe Kick, or do they? I don't know. Hammer Fist and Axe Kick sounds pretty awesome. But anyway, it says monkey blows, base maneuvers. So they're fighting. So the Sugamo gets him in a bear hug. And Danny escapes by... Because he doesn't pin his arms, so he escapes by smacking him on the ears. Similar to how he did with Luke Cage when they first tangled.
They met, yeah.
And
I think it's a typical move in martial arts movies. I think I remember Jackie Chan doing that a lot too. Yeah. And Bruce Lee, I think.
Yeah. So, like... So Danny's on the ground. Also, the sumo looks really big in a couple of these panels, but not so big somewhat in others. Like, he looks like gigantic, like an actual giant. You know.
Yeah, that middle page, middle panel.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like he's a monstrous-looking character here.
Yeah, but so this was weird. He dispatches him with a sharp shot to the neck, but on the panel, it looks like he's breaking his neck. So, maybe they're like, no, Iron Fist doesn't kill, but he kind of drew him breaking his neck. So they just wrote it as a sharp chop to the neck. I don't know. Because it doesn't look like a sharp chop to the neck. It looks weird. But here we get, Urias from the Fallen...
Someone's trying to kill it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is a martial arts copy. But yeah, you rise from the fallen sumo, and your eyes survey the face of a solid steel riveted door. You assess the door's strength, even as you have gauged the strength of a dozen foes this night, and you realize that if you are to reach the captive delegates behind this door, you must invoke the seething power of Iron Fist. Shatum, and he smashes through the door. This is where we get our Iron Fist for the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to... So, I know, like, the Iron Fist Netflix show is, it's all controversial and stuff. Like, some people hate it, some people like it. My friends generally loved the first season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
I was watching the first season with a friend of mine. And it was so cool, because when Danny punched the door out of the asylum, his mind was, like, blown. He thought that was so awesome. And it was really cool, because it was just a really classic, like, use the Iron Fist moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool. And then this is the same friend who said who will break his effing TV if they give Colleen the Iron Fist when he was about halfway through season 2. So that was pretty funny as well. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like the same door.
Yeah.
Smashed.
Yeah, so it really reminded me of it. His big steel door. But he finds the rest of the delegates, or does he? Because it turns out they're all dummies. They're mannequins for some reason. Like, I don't understand why they're mannequins. Like, it doesn't slow them down that much. He just takes that. They could have just, like, they've already escaped with the delegates, so he could have just, I don't know, it's just really silly. Like, it's the dialogue and the text is wonderfully written, it's wonderfully drawn, but the plot itself just doesn't really make much sense.
Your typical 70s story.
Yeah.
It's a little bit melodramatic and, sometimes over the top, but it's fine. If you're an old school reader, like me, it still works.
Oh, it works, but I think even for the 70s, this is a bit of sloppy writing because, like, leaving mannequins there when it doesn't make any sense. It's a cool moment, but then you think about it and you're like,
I've seen this in a few movies before.
Yeah,
I may have borrowed from some of those.
Yeah, true. But then Danny finds a note where the blind man was, or like in a battered tin cup where the blind man was, and it's a note saying, "Thank you." So, for some reason, so it seems you have met your... It seems you have met your true opponent and in fact given him aid. It is also apparent that he is the most ruthless man, for while you have elected not to slay his men who have slain you, they were nevertheless deemed expendable by their leader. A man who would think nothing of sacrificing a dozen lives to the blah 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 blah. I mean, it's good, but it's a lot, so I won't waste time reading it. But it's like... So, he's on Fu Manchu's radar, but he just got to New York. But I guess Fu Manchu is like 100 years old and all-knowing, so... It's a bit odd because it doesn't come together in the end. Like it... Okay. Because you have the Iron Fist story, you have the Sons of the Tiger story, then you have the Shang-Chi story.
Yes.
But they never actually team up.
They're supposed to be part of a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a team-up that never happened. Something like that.
So it's all, like, and it's resolved in an epilogue, but it still feels a bit like... it just kind of went nowhere. You know?
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, we'll go into the... probably spend less time on the other stuff because it's not Iron Fist, but
yes.
Yeah, so we go the next part 2 is
it's about the Sons of the Tiger.
Yes, I'm just trying to find so script Chris Claremont and art Herb Trimp.
Yeah.
So the Sons of the Tiger arrive at the airport. And then they get ambushed. Because they've been interfering with the Silent Ones, and it tells us to refer back to previous issues of Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. So,
sure, yes.
Yeah. Because they're on their way to a Kung Fu tournament.
Yeah, which was a thing.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah, and I would like to read about it. So I'll talk about that next time. Because I find it interesting. Because a lot of tournaments just suck now, like so. Oh,
yeah, I'm not too familiar with tournaments these days.
I mean, if anyone saw karate in the Olympics, that was embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah. So they fight these goons. And then they're like detained by the cops, and they're in their hotel room. And Bob Diamond's irritated because it's stressful, you know.
Yes, he is irritated by the whole ambush thing, etc.
Yeah,
and these guys are going to be caught up in the same plot that Iron Fist was caught up in.
Yep.
Abducting the delegates.
Yeah, so we see a continuation.
UN delegate, that is.
We see, a continuation through the sort of plot line with the delegates. So we sort of get hints of that with Iron Fist. Now, we get the real big brunt of it with Sons of the Tiger, which is a cool way of doing it. I think showing the same threat evolving through different characters.
Yeah,
and it's also a 7-hour.
This is a 3-parter.
Yes. Yeah. Even though it says like there's 4 parts, there's only 3.
Oh, maybe it's an epilogue. I don't know.
Maybe it's the epilogue. Yeah. So Bob goes to sleep.
It is very interesting because it's so hyper just a page earlier.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm so stressed, I've had this 7-hour flight, organised crime, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, suddenly sleeping and snoring away.
Yeah. Just getting the rest, because I know Bob Diamond, so Linson and A. Brown, Linson's watching the news, which is ticking Bob Diamond off. But yeah, there's a whole thing with, the Chinese foreign minister. And he's basically saying, the disappearance of my country's entire United Nations mission is an act of monstrous international terrorism. The People's Republic of China hold the United States government fully responsible for their safe recovery. And then Lin Sun is like, every time I see this guy, my tiger medallion tingles. So he's like, is he one of these silent ones? So he wakes up Bob Diamond, and so the three of them go to... So they go to
the UN.
The UN, yeah.
General Assembly.
Yes. And some folks try to stop them from entering, but a guard lets them in anyway. So listening to the speech, to some sort of speech, basically, the whole thing is, so these assassins jump out behind them, claim they're from, China, like, for the glorious Chinese people, destroy the warmongering American fascists. So the whole thing is, it's obviously a frame-up job to start a war between America and China.
Yes. Start World War III or something here.
Yeah. And so the Sons of the Tiger start fighting, which is pretty cool. And then they do their little Power Ranger thing where they're like, Sons of the Tiger unite.
And they're in costume.
Yes. Yeah, they rip off their clothes to get into costume. Or uniform, I don't know. It's
yeah.
But they still get kidnapped by the US delegation. Still gets kidnapped. They're unable to stop them.
Yes.
But
There's too many of them.
Yeah. No one dies, at least.
True.
So I'm just like, wait.
I like this part where it says that alone each member of the team is a superb, almost unbeatable martial artist.
Yeah.
But now, with the masters functioning as one, the Sons of the Tiger are deadly beyond belief.
Yeah.
It's a cool way of letting readers know how good they are.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of weird how these dudes fly in on wings, these assassins. They have, like, metal wings underneath there.
Yes.
I just noticed that.
Yeah, they do have those.
And it tells us that they're working for Fu Manchu because one of them lets it slip and the other guy's like, hey, shut up. I'll kill you if you let the master's name slip again.
There's always one guy who does that.
Yeah. Yep, so again, like Iron Fist, they try to stop it and they fail.
They fail, yeah.
And then a blind man... secretly Rosario
and
Dawson.
in a helicopter too again. Also.
Yeah, he's got a lot of This is very James Bond, like
Yeah, escaping through a helicopter. James Bond-ish.
Yeah. So the beggar was ominous.
He's back.
Yeah. If the delegates aren't found by midnight tomorrow, So yeah, the Chinese delivered an ultimatum to the president. So things are looking bad. Then we have Chapter 3, The Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. Nature created the world to be one with itself. The waters nourishing the land, the air breathing uniform life to the whole of its surface. But man divided the world into non-existent borders, split the whole fragmented regions called nations, and the world suffered. And where the world suffered, man suffered, and man died, attempting to shape his nation into an entity greater than the rest of the world. But Sir Dennis Nayland Smith has told me of an organization called the United Nations. Its name is false, for it does not attempt to unite the world into a whole, and yet it does attempt to relieve the suffering by resolving differences between the world's divided regions. For this reason, I have come to the office building which disguises Fu Manchu's New York headquarters. I must speak with my father and learn if it is he who has divided the United Nations and wishes to make the world suffer. This is Shang-Chi. He's got a newspaper at his feet about the kidnapped delegates.
Yeah.
And there's the beggar again. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to tap your foot. Can you spare a dime for a blind man? I have no money.
He doesn't have pockets.
Yeah. So this is written by Doug Mensch, and the art is by Mark Vosberg and Dan Atkins.
Yeah, so... The Sons of the Tiger story is the only one not written by him. That was written by Chris Claremont.
Which is going to be the Iron Fist writer soon.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. So this whole thing's very James Bond. It doesn't even read like martial arts, to be honest. Like he uses martial arts in it, But James Bond uses martial arts as well. You know, he uses karate and judo. Oh, now it's like, oh, Krav Maga. But anyway.
In a suit.
Yeah, in a suit. Yeah, I guess this guy's in a martial arts costume. He jumps on a car to tail it from the building, follows them to where the delegates are, because he just arrives there as the delegates getting put onto the submarine, which is pretty lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And he sneaks on the submarine. He takes out one of the weird, culty-looking people, puts on the cloak.
Mm-hmm. And sneaks into the submarine, undetected.
Yeah. And they have American and Chinese delegates there. And we see Fu Manchu. It's a submarine arrives on his boat.
There's this dialogue. There's Shang-Chi here talking about my hands pretend that my ears are deaf. I listen. I had to read that a few times to figure out my hands pretend that my ears are deaf, and he listened. So I don't know.
I think that's just the way of him trying to say he's looking like he's just doing normal work while they're talking, while he's eavesdropping. I think it's just a really fancy way of saying that. I don't want to be looking suspicious while I eavesdrop. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's the guy over here to the left. Yeah. I was thinking he was still up there in somewhere up in the attic or in the ceiling or something. But this is him. Okay, pretending to do something else.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So, 1 sec. So yeah, this is ridiculous, this whole thing. So, he can't get on the boat because he wasn't able to sneak off the submarine when it was docked next to the boat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Also, Fu Manchu is very upset that one of the delegates is missing as well.
The one who died.
Yeah.
In the Iron Fist story.
Yeah. So what Shang-Chi does is he disarms all of the missiles in the submarine.
Mm-hmm. Torpedoes, yeah.
Because there's Shang-Chi's friends are arriving by boat, and they plan to sink it. So he disarms everything, and he puts himself into the missile tube.
Yes. Very interesting move.
Yeah, and then he gets fired out of the missile, and he just breaches the surface. You know, like he just gets fired out of a missile, and he's just like, "Yep." He just acts like it's normal, and he swims normally.
Onto the boat.
And Fu Manchu's like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Like coming out of the water, and he's like, "Oh, it's him." So
my son.
Yeah, look, get rid of him. And yeah, so you know, there's a fight.
Yeah, Shang-Chi takes them out one by one.
Yeah.
And when I have defeated the last one, there are more. Ones from the submarine without their robes.
Yeah.
No longer wearing their cult-looking robes anymore. And it appears that they know how to fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're not just there to operate the submarine. They're actually good fighters too.
Yeah. Of course they are. I mean, like, they would have to be because they're henchmen, right? They've got to be good fighters. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But yeah, like, so what did you think about him going into a missile tube and launching himself?
I thought that was very unusual. I don't know if you can survive something like that.
Yeah.
You can survive that.
Like, I get it's a 70s comic, but this was like, okay. For me, this was like, I noticed.
Yeah, if this was Luke Cage or Colossus or something, or, one of those indestructible guys, it wouldn't bother me at all. But yeah. Shang-Chi, that's human skin, and you're launching him out into deep waters.
Yeah.
I don't know if this,
Yeah, he doesn't have powers. That's some Batman bullshit right there, and Batman has a suit, at least. Like,
yes, he does. At least he does, right?
Yeah.
Make a lot of explanations for how he can survive something like that.
It's like, look,
but for Shang-Chi,
being really good at kung fu doesn't let you do stuff like this. Like,
yes.
I mean, it's like, anyway, yeah.
Writers have their bad days too.
Yeah. And just like how
their bad days.
I like how he casually just emerges from the water as well. Like, he doesn't even fly onto the ship. He just breaks the water normally.
Yeah,
like, he doesn't keep
should have launched him onto the ship at least.
Yeah. I like how there's a yin-yang symbol as he's fighting these goons, though.
Yeah, that's very nice.
That's a very big thing in martial arts, complementary yet opposing forces, using your opponent's momentum against them, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's costume too. So
yeah.
It works.
Yeah, true. So he beats them all up, then he beats them more up.
Takes everything down.
Yeah. And then Fu Manchu's escaping on his James Bond helicopter. This helicopter that's popped up in like every
time.
Yeah. Yeah, he just escapes. But he doesn't get the delegates.
Dawson of helicopters.
Yeah.
And he escapes again.
Yeah. But his friends
arrive.
This
time, the delegates are saved.
Yeah. Third time's the charm.
Yes.
And they leave all the bad guys there, take the delegates out first because they're priority. The bad guys are unconscious, and the boat blows up.
Conveniently, yeah.
Yeah. So, all of the day's work. And then Shang-Chi sees the beggar's clothing and a note. I am sorry you have no money, my son, but I thank you anyway, Fu Manchu. He crunches the note. My father, passed within reach of my arm to demonstrate that even the son of Fu Manchu may be blind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, Danny wouldn't even know who the hell Fu Manchu is, so, like, probably didn't even need to disguise himself as a beggar. Like,
yeah, he's only been in New York for a few days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the episode takes us back to Iron Fist.
Yeah. Sorry, just got to type something here.
Yep. You're looking something up?
Yeah. Just see if I can. But. No, never mind. So yeah, we get to the Iron Fist epilogue.
Yes.
Well, actually, not the Iron Fist epilogue, the epilogue period. So the first three panels, I'll read this out. You are Iron Fist and you seldom smile, but this eve you do smile as you read a newspaper blown your way by chance of wind. It seems there is some justice in the world after all. So you turn and put thoughts of your recent defeat behind you, and you turn and walk towards tomorrow. And he's reading a newspaper about the rescued delegates. And then the chance of wind carries the discarded newspaper down the night silent streets of Manhattan, and past three men with whom you have unknowingly shared an adventure and a cause. So, Abe Brown's unhappy. Oh wait, no, Bob Diamond's unhappy. We get our tails spanked because we interfered with UN security, and then some mystery men come from left field to save the delegates. I wonder who those guys were. Doesn't matter. Does it matter? Isn't it enough when there was a need that there were good men available to fill the need?
Mm-hmm. That's Lynn's son.
Yeah. And then Abe Brown goes, hold it right there, Lynn. You're not going to give me any of that philosophy stuff about how we played our assigned roles, are you? The plain fact is we blew it. All we did was bust up some furniture and third-rate assassins. So don't try to call me with that subject. And then Winston goes, actually, I was going to suggest we all go out and get a steak. Ha 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 ha. Finn. Yeah, so...
And written by Epilogue.
Oh, yeah.
Written by Tony Isabella.
Oh, nice. And he
did
with
art by James.
Yeah. So... That was interesting. I mean, I love the artwork. I love these old, sort of throwback comics. Well, not actually. Yes. This isn't throwback, but it reminds me of it. It was just it was really weird how. Like, I'm not saying. I guess it's just how you have Iron Fist and Sons of the Tiger accomplish nothing. Like, if they did if they contributed in some small way, unknowingly, but they didn't. They both, like, failed in their objective. I mean, it was cool how it told us what was going on through their points of view, but, yeah, I just thought it was
odd. Iron Fist and the Sons of the Tiger, they practically failed.
Yeah.
Where Shang-Chi finished the job for them.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see all of them team up together in the end.
Yeah.
But I guess that was what they were going for some reason. But they will cross paths later in the series. Later in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu series.
Yeah.
So this was, in the omnibus, this was placed near, in between issues 3 and 4.
Right.
And Iron Fist doesn't appear again in the comic until issue 10. And later they'll have a couple of adventures together, where Iron Fist actually meets the Sons of the Tiger and he meets Shang-Chi in the Master of Kung Fu Annual 1.
Right.
But they meet a second time in issue 29. So it takes a while before he teams up with Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I don't think Master of Kung Fu is in this book. It's just Deadly Hands. So their first meeting wouldn't be in there. Yeah, what did you think of the story? Did you have a favourite part, or?
Well, I always loved the Iron Fist art by Frank McLaughlin. I mean, ever since I saw it, at least.
Yeah.
Because I know him as an inker, and when I saw his art here in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu special, it just goes to show you that inkers are artists too. They just happen to finish up the artwork of the main artists, but I'd say if there was a chance for back then for Frank McLaughlin to be the artist for Marvel Premiere or an Iron Fist solo series, I would love that. He's really good.
Yeah.
And the first person, the third person narration, the fighting against martial artists and stuff. You love that part about Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I would have loved to see him team up with the Sons of the Tiger and Shang-Chi in the end, especially because this is it's a special.
Yeah, look, if you bought this, you would feel ripped off because the cover, shows them together.
It has all three of them together.
And it says 5 masters against Fu Manchu, and then it never happens.
Yeah, it's like a teaser for something bigger.
Yeah, and then but there wasn't a sequel, so.
Yeah, you have to wait a while until it actually happens.
Yeah.
It's a cool cover, it's so beautifully done, but you just feel like there was something missing. And if this was done, if it was done in the way that the readers would have expected it to end up, it would have been really satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah. I still enjoyed it, despite the ending. I think, my favourite part was Iron Fist, A, because I'm biased.
Yeah.
But B, because I guess the Iron Fist part was the most small scale, and it had the most focus on martial arts. And Sons of the Tiger had a bit less, and then Shang-Chi even less, as the sort of global war plot got bigger. Because we got two fights with Iron Fist. We got him versus the thugs at the start and the sumo, but he had two very defined villains in his that had their own names and everything, whereas the other guys ended up just kind of fighting goons the whole time. So yeah,
it had the best art too.
Yes, definitely. But, the other parts are still good. I would say I prefer Sons of the Tiger next and then Shang-Chi, because Shang-Chi was just straight up James Bond sort of stuff, which is cool, but, I'd read James Bond if I wanted that.
It's very unusual, because this is Doug Bench writing him.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, because Doug Bench did the first and third part, so, Alright, well, I think, unless you have anything else, I think that wraps us up.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Great to be revisiting this story.
Yep.
Love reading old school stuff.
Yeah.
You sometimes miss reading comics that you spend 20 minutes reading. Unlike comics today, where you can only read them for 5 minutes and then you're done and you wait for the next month.
Yeah.
So this could actually, this is something that you could probably sit down for about 10 minutes and then come back tomorrow and read the next part if you want, just to savor the whole story. Yeah.
Plus the actual magazine would have had all that bonus stuff as well.
Yeah.
Which doubles the length. But yeah, alright, well, I guess until next time, which we'll hopefully be doing Heroes for Hire 2, because not a long issue and not much happens, so, I've already read it. Oh, and big thanks to our patrons, Derek, Carl, and Ray. You guys are awesome. If you want to check out our Patreon, head over. There's rewards. You can get artwork from Carl, which is pretty awesome, so have a squiz. Yeah. But yeah, until next time, may your fist become unto a thing of iron.
Yes, please. See ya.
Bye. Iron Fist and all other characters in these comics are properties of Marvel and Disney. Any music or images we use belong to their respective copyright holders. We do this for fun, so please don't sue us. You can contact us at sonsofthedragonpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us mail, comments, thoughts, anything you want, really. It doesn't even have to be related to Iron Fist. If you don't want it read on the air though, make sure you mention that. You can also find us on Facebook, the Immortal Iron Fist Podcast, Sons of the Dragon, our Twitter, @Iron Fist Podcast, our SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Sons of the Dragon, hyphens where the spaces are, our YouTube, Connor Carl, just search Iron Fist Podcast and you'll find us real quick. We are also on iTunes. If you find us there, give us a review and rate us. If it's less than 5 stars, please say why so we can improve the show. And we're on Podcast Garden in the literature section, and last but not least, head over to our WordPress, Sons of the Dragon, the Immortal Iron Fist Podcast.wordpress.com. That's where I put all the show notes. I'd like to thank Thomas Tissot for composing the Iron Fist theme song we use at the start of our Iron Fist episodes on the podcast. I'd also like to thank Peter John Sikorsky for composing the Power Man and Iron Fist theme we use at the start of our Power Man and Iron Fist episodes. And finally, thanks to you guys for listening.